I want to talk about bringing people together. Because there's so much misinformation and disinformation out there, and most of it, let's face it, has been put out by the Western governments and their public relations in the media in the form of propaganda and repeating propaganda and lies. But people believe separate sets of facts now. And there's a lot of friction between people, especially online, that I'm seeing. And what I want to do in this is talk about how we need to start communicating with each other better. I saw this, and it was from somebody called @Fesshole, and it's, as you can see, it's got 11,000 likes and 1.9 million views. This went viral, and this person said this: my dad, who is very clever and who is a very clever and loving man, has fallen down the rabbit hole of GB News, etc. over the pandemic. But he recently mentioned how Bill Gates wanted to control the population with vaccines, and I have no idea how to talk to him about this. It's heartbreaking. And I thought to myself, really, you can't talk to your own father about this? This is really quite worrying, isn't it? Just because he fell down the rabbit hole of GB News, etc. over the pandemic. Well, everybody went crazy over the pandemic, didn't they? When the pandemic hit, everybody went crazy. And we need to look back and sort of forgive each other for, I mean, this has never happened to us before. Nobody knew how to react, did they? Certainly not in our lifetimes it hadn't happened. And I thought this got a lot of traction online, and a lot of it was people arguing with each other underneath. This article is particularly helpful, but there was a lot of animosity as well. And I see this online all the time. People seem to want to go to, Kanye levels of DEFCON 3 straight away, rather than actually talk to each other. And it was highlighted to me when I responded to that person. Because I responded to that person with this comment. Well, with two comments, actually. I said to them this: here's what you do with your dad. You put an arm around him and you sit him down and you say, I'm really sorry, Dad, but you were right about everything. I shouldn't listen to you all along. And obviously I'm joking now, and obviously I'm making fun. So I followed that up with, I said, in all seriousness, why don't you ask yourself why it is that one of the media's foremost experts on vaccines this last few years has been that weirdo Microsoft guy whose wife divorced him because, among other shady things, he was good friends with pedophile and sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Why don't you sit down and have a think about that, and then talk to your dad about that? Because this isn't a conspiracy theory. This is actually what happened. The media propped Bill Gates up to being the foremost expert on vaccines. Bill Gates, a billionaire, friend of pedophile and sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Don't you think that's weird? Why is it that the media did that? And the responses I had to this were quite worrying. Because this person, Be Fair, ironically, Be Fair, said to conflate these two things says you're also lost down a rabbit hole. Hugs, being sarcastic. Is this any way to talk to people? I mean, would you talk to me to my face like that? After all I'd done is state a fact and hopefully try and bring somebody together with their father. I mean, I've suffered mentally with all this misinformation and disinformation that's gone on in the last few years. That person's father might have as well. Is there any need to be this sarcastic and condescending? Hugs, I responded to that person with this: why don't you answer the question? If you notice, I'm being as respectful as I possibly can be here. Why is it so many just want to smear people as idiots and crazies and going down a rabbit hole just for asking a question? I am not your enemy. The people who are lying to you are your enemy. I'm not lying to anybody. I'm asking questions. Please be nice. It's called social media. Be social. Why do the media look to pedophile and sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein's mate Bill Gates for advice on global health? Why? Have you seen a picture of Bill Gates and his mates at the World Economic Forum, who are preaching everything about global health right now. They're all fat bastards. All of them are fat, rich, billionaire bastards. Bill Gates has given at least $319 million to media outlets. Remember, Bill Gates is somebody who, before the turn of the century, didn't have a good public image at all. He had a terrible public image. So he had to what? Buy good press. But I want to read this article. Up until his recent messy divorce, Bill Gates enjoyed something of a free pass in corporate media, generally presented as a kindly nerd who wants to save the world. The Microsoft co-founder was unironically christened Saint Bill by The Guardian. After sorting through over 30,000 individual grants, Mint Press News can reveal that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has made over $300 million worth of donations to fund media projects. I wonder why the media looked to the Microsoft guy as the foremost expert on vaccines during a pandemic. I wonder why the media did that. Is it because Bill Gates bought that time and bought that trust and bought that access? 319 million, and that's just what we know of course. The article continues. Recipients of this cash include many of America's most important news outlets, including CNN, NBC, NPR, PBS, and The Atlantic. Gates also sponsors a myriad of influential foreign organisations, including the BBC. Bill Gates is funding the BBC, sending money to the BBC. I don't send money to the BBC, and they try and force me to, including the BBC, The Guardian, the Financial Times, and the Daily Telegraph in the United Kingdom. Prominent European newspapers such as Le Monde in France, Der Spiegel in Germany, and El País in Spain, as well as big global broadcasters like Al Jazeera. That is the entirety of corporate and of legacy media. That is mainstream media there. He's donating to them all and others. Awards directly to media outlets. 24 million to NPR. It's America's state-owned news organisation. And there's Bill Gates giving nearly 25 million to it. The Guardian, 12.9 million to The Guardian. 12.9 million to The Guardian. 6.6 million to The Conversation. 5.4 to Der Spiegel. 4 million to NBC. 4 million to Le Monde. 3.9 million to El País. I wonder why CNN give Bill Gates such tongue-lashingly loving service in the media. I wonder why they never point out, oh, he was a friend of Jeffrey Epstein. Isn't that weird? Is that all it took to buy their silence? These are the people that are meant to inform you. Instead, they've been shoving an agenda down your throats of an out-of-shape billionaire and saying that he's the foremost expert on global health. Oh, that's wonderful, isn't it? Bill, if you give me $2 million, I'll say nice things about you. I promise. Give me $2 million, I'll say nice things about you. I will. After they gave all of that money to the media, used Bill Gates, the Microsoft guy, propped his opinion up as what was gospel on global health. Maybe this person, remember the original person I talked about who said their dad was a very clever and loving man, but he's fallen down a rabbit hole of GB News, etc. over the pandemic. Maybe you should talk to him about this that I'm talking to you about. Maybe you can find common ground with him there and say, Dad, I agree with you. You should not be able to buy good press here. You shouldn't be able to buy the airtime of our mainstream media to spread, for all we know, lies because it makes him a profit. This person, why don't you actually talk to your dad about that? Do you think that that's right, that Bill Gates should be able to buy off our media in this way? Money is no object to this man. 319 million to him is a drop in the ocean, especially if it curries him so much favour with the mainstream media, who are meant to be telling the truth about people who are involved in oligarchical activities in this way. That's meant to be their job, exposing that, not taking it. Talk to your dad about that. The scale of this man's corruption of our media is unfathomable. Remember, this is a man who was friends with Jeffrey Epstein, whose wife divorced him, whose wife, in an interview not long ago, was saying, that guy creeped me out, he gave me nightmares, and Bill met with him on several occasions. He's faced no questioning with regards to that friendship at all, really, apart from the one question where he says, oh, well, he's dead now, so you have to be careful, and that was it. This was after Jeffrey Epstein served a sentence for sex trafficking and pedophilia. I've said this over and over in the last 5 years. If we don't know what the facts are, if we are coming from a place that is untrue, how can we make an informed opinion? If we don't know what the truth is, how can we make an informed opinion on anything? We can't. Gates Foundation has also given nearly 63 million to charities closely aligned with big media outlets. It's not just the media, it's the charities associated with the media as well, currying favour that way. Oh, what a saint Bill Gates is! What a wonderful man! He's given more money to transgender rights. What a hero! And then he became the media's foremost expert, most recognisable expert on vaccines and everything global health, when the guy looks like a big sack of potatoes. These are all things that person back there could be talking to their father about and bonding with. Because there's something seriously wrong with our media. Don't you agree? Or do you agree that billionaires should be able to buy good press like this? And moneyed interests can buy positive media this way. That's extremely dangerous, don't you think? Today, it is possible for an individual to train as a reporter thanks to a Gates Foundation grant, find work at a Gates-funded outlet, and belong to a press association funded by Bill Gates. This is especially true of journalists working in the fields of health, education, and global development, the ones Gates himself is the most active in, and where scrutiny of the billionaire's actions and motives are most necessary. If Bill Gates really cared about anybody's health, he should start with his own and go on a frigging diet. Don't you agree? This is manipulating the minds of the masses with money. A billionaire manipulating the minds of the masses with his vast amounts of money. Makes me sick. Where's my money, Bill? Where's my money? Oh, I don't get any money, do I? I don't say nice things about you. I say the truth. This is how the media manipulates the minds of the masses, and why. They do it for money. They're victims. They have to do it. Otherwise, they don't survive, they fold, they go under, and if they're journalists, they get cast to the edges of society, and they get ignored, and they get pariahed, and they get smeared by John Monbiot in The Guardian, who got millions from Bill Gates. Do you see how it works now? Hey everybody, this is a message just to say I've moved to Substack, so if you enjoyed that video and you want to see more, go and subscribe to me over there. You won't regret it. It's free.